Inspiring Entrepreneurs is brought to you by Citi Commercial Bank in conjunction with International Women's Day. You're listening to Money FM 89.3. They say it takes a village to raise a child. But what kind of village do you need if you're a mother of three balancing a C-suite role with family life? Well, in this special podcast series brought to you by Citi Commercial Bank in celebration of International Women's Day, we speak to inspiring professionals who embody the spirit of entrepreneurship and champion the power of women in the working world, their thoughts, their lessons, what inspires and drives them. Today we speak with Jocelin Soon, Group Chief Financial Officer of Interplex, a world leader in designing and manufacturing interconnect and mechanical products. Jocelin worked her way up from finance manager to CFO while raising a family. She joins us now to share her story. Jocelin, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
No problem. Hi.
You joined Interplex as a finance manager and you've worked your way up to CFO in a mainly male-dominated industry, I might add. What do you think your success was attributable to?
Well, I would say my success was attributed to the great mentorship I received by the ex-CFO at Interplex. She was the one who recruited me, and she is still a very successful female executive, and her mentorship has not only helped me to develop my confidence, but was of great influence on how I get my voice heard in this male-dominated industry, as you rightly pointed out. When I succeeded her role in 2017, the empowerment and trust that my current CEO has continued to give me has also helped me further to succeed in my role as the Group CFO at Interplex.
I've got to ask you though, I myself am also a working mother. How did you do it? How did you balance family and career as you climbed the ladder?
I have a very supportive family. My mother does an amazing job taking care of my kids, especially on weekdays when I'm at work. My husband, needless to say, is also my pillar of support. I just keep trying my best in managing my family and my work commitments. At the same time, I've stopped doubting myself on whether or not I'm doing a good job balancing both. I realized it is actually more important to protect our mental health as working mothers and to stay positive. I work long hours on weekdays, but I balance it by making sure that I do not work on weekends as well, so that I can dedicate that time 100% to my family.
That's so important, isn't it? That support that you get during the week, and then that you're able to, have that quality time on the weekend. And the support that we receive as women in the workplace is critical too, right? You mentioned you work long hours. So what kind of support does Interplex provide to working women?
I'm not about to sugarcoat. We have about 40% of female workforce.
Is that usual for your industry?
I actually think it's not, but I am quite proud of the statistics, right? The organization, in my personal, encourages gender diversity across various levels, including senior management team. Our CHRO is also a very successful female who has been with the company for more than 10 years as well. More than 20% of the managerial positions are also held by females. Well, other than flexibility surrounding working hours and working locations, I must say our female community is treated equally, and they will also have the same opportunities to leadership as males. Last but not least, I would just like to add that we have a culture of supporting and empowering women. Like I mentioned earlier, right? I have a mentor who is also a woman.
I'm going to talk to you about the importance of having a gender diverse team. What do you think it adds to Interplex or to the workplace? Perhaps different perspectives.
Well, I may be biased. So women, in my view, especially working mothers, they are very different from men in terms of perspectives, eye for detail, their approach to resolving issues, the soft skills that they have acquired just from managing the home, right? So therefore, I believe that this diversity has strengthened collaboration and more balanced work quality. I'm also of the view that the gender diversity helps organizations like us to overcome workplace conflicts, and it can manage cultural differences better. Now, I do find that women tend to be more emotional, but they can also express their feelings more openly, both positive and negative. So in this way, they are also a bit more open to ideas, suggestions along the way, and this will help to ultimately promote exchange of ideas within the wider group.
Jocelin, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier about, this being a mainly male-dominated industry, and going back to your career as well. Perhaps you can share with us what were some of the challenges that you had to overcome along your climb to the top, although, as you mentioned, you had a great mentor and great support.
I must say, I think I'm fortunate. I didn't have to deal with challenges associated with perceived ability of working women. Maybe partly because my predecessor was a very successful female. But when I first joined the company, I had to adapt to communicating with technical engineers, manufacturing folks, and they are of different levels of savviness when it comes to financial terms. And of course, business management. So the most effective way that I found effective for myself to overcome these challenges is to simplify the interpretation of the financial performance. Then you talk to them on a very layman term, right? And of course, I think nothing beats conducting direct conversations, and you don't get yourself into writing long emails because it gets people lost. And on top of this, right, I also feel that being a female actually became my advantage because I could easily blend into the group by being empathetic.
I see. So all about communication and being able to relate.
Absolutely.
That's great. We're speaking with Jocelin Soon, CFO of Interplex Holdings, to discuss the spirit of entrepreneurship as a woman in the working world, part of an inspiring entrepreneur series brought to you by Citi Commercial Bank in celebration of International Women's Day. Jocelin, tell us more about your role as Group Chief Financial Officer. What's a typical day like for you? With 3 kids, as you mentioned, you've got family support, but walk us through it. I want to know. I'm curious.
It is a crazy schedule. Routine is critical. I'm an early riser, so I wake up at 5:30 every morning. I would have to prepare my eldest for school. She's turning 10 this year, so I have to send her to school and all. By the time I get to office, I start my work day at 7:30, thereabout in the morning. I would then take the quiet moment to catch up on daily news, checking emails, because my day is usually packed with meetings and various calls. So that is important for me to set a routine. By 5 o'clock, I normally have to leave the office because I would then have to head home to send the kids for their various classes. So it can be, I have 3 kids, right? So they have their sports class, their music class and whatsoever. So I take the time to go home earlier to bring them there. And then I head home for dinner. And then usually, because we run a global operation, I may have to take calls at night. But I try to schedule it after 9, after I put the kids to bed. So it's very long and hectic. But, the little chance to talk to my kids, during the drive or whatsoever, keep me going.
Do you worry about burnout at all?
It wasn't a worry that I can afford, but I try to compartmentalize that. And that was why at the start I talked about it's important to keep the positive mindset. Because, you can't get everything stressed out and bogged down by all the negative thoughts.
That's right. As the Chief Financial Officer, the relationship that you have with your bank and your banking partner is really critical. Can you tell us more about what you look for in a bank to ensure that you get the right support so that your job goes as smoothly as possible?
Well, we are global, so we're definitely looking for a business partner who have also the same network that can support us globally. A partner who can work hand in hand to understand our business needs, both short-term, long-term, and then they can talk to us about solutions for cash management, hedging, trade financing solutions, and what it may be, and even M&A opportunities, right? And with the macro environment changes, there are also business risks from time to time, as well as opportunities that we need to address. So speed in response is also very critical as we look for a banking partner. And last but not least, right, I mentioned just now that I cannot stress further about that footprint that the bank would have. A global bank that can support us globally makes a hell of a difference compared with, if we have to deal with 10 over banks in different time zones and different jurisdictions.
That's right. As you mentioned, Interplex, I think you have a presence in 13 countries. So the relationship with your bank or Citi Commercial Bank is important, and that coordinated support, right, across different markets.
That's right. We are with Citi largely in the US, and US, they are a big name there. So for all our banking needs, they could already serve us very well. As we grow our business, our emerging markets are in Mexico and India, and these are locations where Citi has also rather strong foothold in. So I'm quite confident that they can provide us the same level of services as well.
And you mentioned emerging markets. That leads on to my next question. What's on the horizon for Interplex? I understand that you're looking to explore these new markets. Mexico, you mentioned. Any others?
In terms of geography, Mexico, India, and as well as different parts of Asia, and in particular Southeast Asia, because as we see how the supply chain is moving towards, and every location now makes a difference to us. But I'd just like to bring back to Interplex. We have 3 distinct markets. We are serving the automotive customers, the datacom, as well as medical, and each of these markets which we're in are undergoing great disruption, while they are also at the same time having tremendous growth potential. So I think it's for us to really grab the opportunities and being able to leverage on the mega trends, be it in decarbonization, in longevity, as well as the growth in 5G, cloud computing network and all. So our customers are moving very quickly, and we as a company and as a supplier will also have to move even faster so that we can become focused and aligned on our key markets to serve our customers better. We recently completed a reorganization, and we have formed divisions in this to serve these 3 distinct markets, right? So that we can create the necessary focus, speed in winning the opportunities that we have in these markets.
So all about being organized, and it goes back to, as you mentioned, communication, right? Yeah. And speed.
Yep. That's right.
And that's important. As you mentioned, you don't have to deal with so many different banking partners. It's a little bit more seamless. If there's one piece of advice that you would give to another working woman, or perhaps more generally to those who need to support women in the workplace, what would it be?
Don't underestimate yourself. Create your goals and work towards them. Things will come along the way, good or bad, but take one thing at a time. I also think that it's equally important to, it's more than one advice, right? But please bear with me here. I think it's equally important to invest in developing friendship, rapport with the colleagues. If things don't go well, they should alone, right? They should talk to someone. They have to also try to find time to do something that makes them happy. And that's what keeps me going, at least.
Okay, Jocelin. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
No problem. My pleasure.
Thank you. We've been speaking with Jocelin Soon, Group Chief Financial Officer at Interplex Holding, to discuss the spirit of entrepreneurship as a woman in the working world as part of an inspiring entrepreneur series brought to you by Citi Commercial Bank in celebration of International Women's Day, in which we speak to inspiring professionals who embody the spirit of entrepreneurship and champion the power of women in the working world, their thoughts, their lessons, what inspires and drives them. I'm Rachel Kelly, and you're tuned into Money FM 89.3.
This interview is brought to you by Citi Commercial Bank and is solely intended to be for your general information and may not represent the views and opinions of Citi Commercial Bank. Inspiring Entrepreneurs was brought to you by Citi Commercial Bank in conjunction with International Women's Day.